Hell yeah. All right, whatever. We have 3 clap syncs. One of them's got to be good enough. So we're going to just work with that. If it's off by a second or so, Tom, I'm very sorry for...
I'm going to have a stroke.
What, yeah. Like
Quinn comes back. He's like, what did you all do with my show?
We turned it into the clap
on the floor.
We turned it into clap syncing 101, where, again, 3 grown men are struggling to time. So, anyway, now that we're clap synced, I don't know that I can turn this intro into something show related because my brain is currently leaking out of my left ear. So
you're a zone child.
I am a zone child. Yeah.
We had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning now. As we have an apparent serious oxygen leak. 4, 3, 2, 1. Houston, we've had a problem. He's in a roll and he can't stop it. Performing an evasive maneuver. Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. We need to do a little more all-weather testing. Welcome to space.
Let everything that's been planned come true.
Let them believe, and let them have a laugh at their passion.
Because what they call passion actually is not 3 guys talking about movies.
But just the friction between their souls and the outside world.
And most important, they're watching damp men in a Tarkovsky movie.
Let them be helpless like children.
Because weakness is a great thing.
And strength is nothing.
Podcasting is everything.
Okay, so I'm imagining that they either all get layered together or they are just like an editing nightmare, and Tom has to make us take turns saying things in a way that is reminiscent of cult behavior, and it's Tarkovsky-pilled. I don't know. We'll get wet. All right.
We worship a dead Russian.
Intro time.
Go.
Oof. Hello, listener. You're listening to Failure to Launch, the space movie podcast where we get Tarkovsky-pilled. My name is Chris. He, him.
Nicholas. He, him.
And a 20 kiloton Chris. He, him.
And today we're talking about Stalker. So this was, did this get recommended or we just decided? I think we just decided to watch Stalker, because we enjoyed Solaris so much. And we needed to get, we needed to further the depths of our Tarkovsky pillage. And so,
we also needed some brain bleach.
And having watched this around midnight last night, just like how I did with Solaris, definitely put between a state of it's like wakeful dreaming, you know, like I'm in a fugue state watching this movie. I'm not even sure if I actually watched it.
You were in a zone, perhaps?
I was in a zone. That's right.
Yeah, AutoZone.
And that was definitely one of the takeaways I took from this film was, I don't know whether or not I actually saw something, just like the protagonists, and that went hard. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm huge fanboy for Tarkovsky films after watching Solaris, and Stalker did not disappoint whatsoever.
If I could be real for a second, I think this was better than Solaris. At least, yeah, in my opinion, it was better.
Ooh.
Those are fighting words. There's definitely someone on this planet who will fight you for that opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not that person, but
just something about the vibe of it.
Just foreboding existentialism.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think foreboding existentialism really encapsulates the film in a word.
I mean, both movies have just fantastic endings, so you get something out of it at the end. What it is, you don't know. You don't know what you go in wanting from it. You just get it.
Well, one thing I can
Like a
say
protagonist.
is right off the rip, this movie really does make you hate the main character just a little bit.
Yeah, we open up our film. Maybe I should try to go in order. I have some notes, but just like with Solaris, it got to a point where I was so drawn into the film that I stopped taking notes. So
You just stared into the iris a little too hard.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hoping that you guys have more of a brain to give me today.
We'll see.
Otherwise, we're going to be stretching the riffing out quite a bit. So, listener, if you haven't listened to our Solaris episode, it's definitely your intro to becoming Tarkovsky-pilled, and then you can come to Stalker. Or don't. I mean, I'm not the police. You can do whatever you want. But anyway, we open the film. Should I redo I took a little clip of the intro, but I took it kind of like towards the middle where there's a little bit more, instrumental action going on. This intro hits it off pretty strong. I'm a big fan of the Duduk, so, it's there. I'm going to just play the little segment that I got. Maybe the listener can vibe with it for 14 seconds. And that's kind of the vibe that we get going into this. To set the scene, the world is kind of bleak and it's grayscale. It's what you would expect out of a Eastern European bloc nation. Everything is kind of like, dare I say, my recollection of this is that everything is somewhat dry here.
Like, it's kind of dry, not quite sepia toned.
It's very dusty. It's like,
Yeah.
not post-industrial because that's the wrong word, but it has this kind of like, it's abandoned but not fully. It's just
Like
place
semi
where
kind of Rust
people are
Belt
barely
vibes.
hanging on. Yeah.
Like, economic activity has left the area, the factories have closed down, and it's just decay.
But not empty.
Not empty, no. The people are still here.
And not just the people, but the government, the forces, the military, whatever we want to call the security forces.
Oh, they are very much here, as we will see.
Oh yeah.
We live in this society that, again, like I'm not sure if it's like ever clarified upon, but where we are living is in proximity to the zone.
Very close to.
And clearly you're not allowed to go in there. And I don't know if it's like everywhere is like this, or it's just that like they live in a city near the zone and that's why everything kind of sucks. But yeah, it's basically like societal collapse has happened. Like the city is dog shit. Like there's not like real jobs to be had.
It seriously is just, it's decay.
And so our beloved main character, Stalker, his vocation is to be a stalker, and he takes people into the zone for money.
So if you haven't seen the movie or just don't even know what we're talking about, it's this Tarkovsky movie, obviously, and essentially it's some vague, unspecified, possibly Eastern Bloc, possibly could be anywhere place where something extraterrestrial arrived years and years ago and then left, and it's warped the world around it. Like reality isn't right, unnatural things are happening, and it's the zone now.
Yeah, I guess I am speaking from a place of assuming everybody understands Stalker.
It's a Terran reality, if you will.
If you're familiar with famed video game Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, this film is based off of the same novel that the game was. So there is some thematic overlap here.
Roadside Picnic by the Strugatsky brothers, which is such a twisted metaphor for this, because like, I was saying the aliens left and just left some stuff. It's like alien arrival is compared to like just leaving like trash at a picnic, and it's like, oh, they came and it was nothing, and it's warped our society forever. It's great. And also, you said I don't know the games. I'm probably the guy who's not the gamer here. But it's interesting that like Shadow of Chernobyl and this movie and the book all predate Chernobyl and the Chernobyl exclusion zone. Hey, art imitates life, or life imitates art.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I think that, clearly Shadow of Chernobyl,
Yeah.
made after the fact, clearly, because it was like, what, 2003 or something like that. Definitely, again, like it's mixing the thematics of roadside picnic. And Stalker, which was the movie, right, that came out long before the game did too. I'm trying to not turn this podcast into the Shadow of Chernobyl review episode.
It'll happen a little bit.
Yeah, again, like there's a lot of thematic overlap here. And you'll probably you'll see it as we go into it if you are familiar. You'll be like, oh yeah, that's where this came from. But yeah, so we start out strong with like a 3.5-ish minute intro segment of just the theme music with the intro credits. And we open up to a scene of Stalker waking up in bed with his wife and child. He sneaks out of the room because his wife wants him to get a real job and not leave and run off into the zone all the time.
And to not go back to prison.
Not go back to prison. He got back from prison after being there for 5 years, and she insists they'll lock him up for 10 next time if he continues to try to go into the zone and gets caught doing it. So my notes say, starting off strong with Eastern European marital problems.
Oh yeah, he is a piece of shit right off the rip.
And he's just also like, he's got the shaved head. He looks shifty. He looks like
shifty.
Like Soviet Chris Elliott. And he's got like the prisoner buzz cut. Oh, he just gives off like this guy has lived a rough life.
I'll just stop saying it, but we get a good image of his character. On the left hand side of his head, how it's just a circle of blonde.
Oh yeah.
He's a bit splotchy.
He's splotchy, he's rough, he looks like he's just been beat up a lot.
I had observed that he had like the little blonde splotch on his hair. I didn't think that was... I thought that was just because the rest of his hair got dirty, except for that spot. But you're telling me that was just there from the beginning?
Oh, yeah. It's just such a great opening because you get like Eastern European marital drama, but also this guy is dangerous. They're going to... The zone is dangerous. They'll throw anyone in jail for it. And this guy's ready to walk out on his kid again, who like is barely old enough to know him.
Yeah, that's another thing. The kid is, according to her, just getting used to him.
And importantly, we see some glasses move as a train goes by.
That does come up again, I'm pretty sure.
That was another note that I made at the beginning before it like stopped really becoming an issue. I think it comes up a few times in the movie, but I'm like, the railroad has been recurring thematically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Because we do, in the beginning we do wake up to a train going by, and then we learn that a little bit further ahead that there's a train that goes in and out of the zone. Like the railroad there is still intact.
Yeah, you have a very tightly controlled entry and exit area.
So after Stalker walks out on his wife and child, I'm trying to think about like if I only need to mention important details or if I need to like, you know what I mean?
We
like
can just keep going and then,
if I need to omit anything, if it's for the sake of brevity, because it's like, again, because it's Tarkovsky, we have a lot of these like lingering shots at times.
Yeah, it's the opposite of a Stuff Happens movie.
Yeah, it is, and again, because it's like it's not simply a Stuff Happens movie because it's Tarkovsky, so there's a reason for basically everything happening. If only it's to like deepen emotional observation. Like when he walks out, like his wife is like having an emotional breakdown on the floor for like an extended period of time.
Oh, she straight up like collapses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is uncomfortable to watch.
And where else does an Eastern European husband go after he's had marital problems with his wife than to the bar, which is where Stalker goes to meet his clients.
He's getting ready.
Can we talk about the clients, particularly the writer, because he is a scumbag, feels like the right word here.
Yeah, so
he's just hitting on that lady hilariously.
We roll up to the bar and he has two clients that he's going to take with him into the zone. He has the writer and the professor. And the writer we meet first is kind of like gross in ways.
It's sleazy.
He's like sleazy, worldly, which like spoiler alert completely flips later and he becomes our favorite character.
Yeah. And if you've listened to the Solaris episode, it's our boy Solzhenitsyn
coming back at you again.
You know, playing sort of the opposite of Sartorius this time around.
What a guy.
Tarkovsky just loved him, and I'm glad he kept using him because he's a great actor.
And he really does come into his own, at least as the film goes on with this.
Yeah.
Just his character becomes excellent.
He's drunk.
Oh, yeah.
He's so...
What else is there to do in the Eastern Bloc?
Meet him. The woman just drives off with his hat. He doesn't even recognize it until she's probably a couple 100 feet away. Then what do you know? We're off to the bar to get a drink or two.
Where we also meet our other guy, the professor, who could not be more different than the writer. He's just so quiet and like, I was waiting for him to like say more about himself at first. He's just kind of there.
No, that's the thing. He understands, the assignment and is going with it. Just, hey, I know what I need
Which
to
is
do.
completely relatable to me. I feel like most of the time I'm just there,
No, he's not just there. He knows he wants to get to the zone. He hired the expert. Just listen to him.
He's very I guess the movie progresses and we come to learn him. He's more of a like pragmatist character type. So whereas the writer is very poetic and has lots of prose, the professor is very grounded in his like worldview and belief system, which isn't like a criticism or anything. Like,
just a statement of fact.
Like that's a thing. A theme that I took away from this movie is like there isn't like a right or wrong way to exist. It's you have different people and they have different worldviews and ideas of like how things are or should be, and like that's just the human condition.
Like this is a sci-fi movie. It is like it's unquestionably a genre, but it's also, I mean, it's what Tarkovsky is best with sci-fi is like using to examine the soul, and you have these two guys seeking something or having a goal, and you have Stalker who, what's the line he says to his wife? I wrote it down. It's like, everywhere is a prison for me, but he only feels free in the zone. Like he found his purpose, and these two idiots don't know their purpose.
They're still lost.
The Stalker is inflicted with an insatiable case of wanderlust.
And I think we
like
can,
me for real.
Yeah, just like me for real. But we can definitely dive into it more towards the end, where we really get to see his character just dissected by the writer.
So also, this is one I just love because it's like the writer's already drunk. Stalker keeps trying to stop him from drinking, so he just goes to the bar. He's like, "Okay, we'll have beer then."
He's just trying to be the minder, but he's just going behind his back. Hey, can I get a beer, buddy?
It's morning. I got to go into the zone. Got to dodge some army guys. Why not?
There's a large chance I'm getting shot, and I'd rather not do this sober.
So yeah, I guess these two guys somehow found this ex-con Stalker and hired him to take them into the zone for reasons we don't know,
and for reasons that are largely not clarified on entirely. But we'll get to that. That's still about 2 hours of movie film away. So
this movie is long, and about half of it is just long takes of nature.
I'm pretty sure if you force Tarkovsky to just do a shot long or shorter than a minute, he would just try and haul off and punch you in the head.
Well, and I was reading up on the production of this. Like, they filmed the movie 3 times. Because I guess, like, the first time the film ended up misdeveloped or something. So imagine doing these long takes of nature 3 different times.
That's actually completely hinged.
Tarkovsky was amazing. Also, they filmed it in Estonia near an abandoned power plant, which may have had a chemical leak, which is why they had to film it 3 times. So, a lot of these guys all got like cancer later.
That's actually insane.
This is basically the Soviet version of the John Wayne movie about Genghis Khan that was filmed like downwind from a nuclear testing site where everyone got cancer.
Wait, what?
Yeah, John Wayne played Genghis Khan in a movie called The Conqueror in the 60s. Yes, that did happen. You can look it up. And they filmed it downwind from a nuclear testing site in Nevada.
Jesus Christ. I did not actually know about that.
And then they filmed it in a soundstage where they imported the sand from the testing site area. And then a lot of those guys all got cancer later.
That's actually insane.
Welcome to Failure to Launch, the John Wayne podcast.
So I had a couple notes for the scene in the bar, too. Because they were making some idle talk about speculating about, like, well, what is in the zone anyway? And I think it was the writer that was talking about it, where he's like, sarcastically being like, there's goblins in the zone. And I'm like, yeah, this is important lore information. I should write this down. There's goblins in the zone, guys.
I actually love this because it's everyone seems to be like, we got a little bit of from the intro that there's a zone that something happened, something out of this world came here, and these guys all know about it. There's like clearly guys who can guide you into it. Everyone just sort of accepts it. It's not aliens arrive or something supernatural happened and people are like doubting it or paranoid. It's also just matter of fact, which is kind of cool, unsettling, but cool.
Also noted in this scene that Stalker having been living in an Eastern Bloc nation and been in an Eastern Bloc prison for the last 5 years. He's not very like well. Like he seems kind of frail in ways. He's prone to having like coughing fits. And in this scene, I wrote this down. Man, Stalker is a mess. He's coughing into his hands, man. Because he does in fact just openly cough into his hands. And there is not really a whole lot of hygiene in this movie.
No, they are dirty. They are damp and they are dirty.
They are just collecting new life forms.
So they meet up at the bar. They talk about their plans for how they're going to get there. And they get in a car and they drive around. And I made a note about this. At 22 minutes and 22 seconds is about when they get in this car. And I wrote that Chris is going to lose his mind over this thing.
Listen, I love OG Land Rovers.
What was, there's like one line early on, I think it's right before they get in the car, that like the writer says, you know, don't hope for flying saucers. I think it's just like a fun little nod to like the audience and us. Like, this is not your classic like Green Little Men sci-fi movie.
Which goes so hard, by the way.
But they're like driving around and it's still this like sepia, grayscale, abandoned building area.
Also, what is it? Evading the guard?
The
police,
just
dude. Get out, dive on the floor.
Oh, yeah. Hey, here's a car.
I love how it's like they're sneaking around the police bike guys and like they don't hear a car like around the corner from them. You know what I'm saying? Like they literally would have heard a vehicle drive by.
It's not even around the corner. Like, it's just down the alley. Like,
well, the first time, yeah, it's down the alley. It's just like he doesn't look, right? But it's like later on, it's like, you know, just because they're out of line of sight doesn't mean that they're out of earshot, you know? Like, I don't know how many people got cars in this bombed out town, but like,
yeah, like there's barely anybody left in this town too, but the guards. And I love like this is, like I said, this is unquestionably a sci-fi movie, but it's that great kind of like Twilight Zone vibe where it's like they do a lot without showing you anything. But the guards all have this like vaguely futuristic sci-fi like uniforms on.
The white helmet.
It felt like something out of like if you've seen like those great like 60s Godzilla movies where they start bringing in like aliens and stuff. It has like those like jumpsuits. That was the vibe I got, but like Soviet.
Yeah, no, the helmet's pretty neat. And also we go over the fact that they are shooting to kill.
Oh yeah, the guards do not want you sneaking out of the city into the zone.
And the way they're sneaking around, he's just sending everyone else forward. Like, hey, can you just check out, make sure there's no one in here?
Oh, I was saying he tells them to go ahead because they already paid him.
He already got his money.
He's just doing it for the love of the game at this point.
I'm thinking about it again. Was it the writer who went first at the beginning of the movie to get to? They get to like this. Their vehicle to take them into the zone is like this little like.
Oh no, let's
engine cart thing on the train tracks.
I will not allow this to be missed. We had a Tokyo drifting a Land Rover on the rail tracks.
Oh, that was so cool. Like the closest thing we get to action in this movie.
Yeah, and then they're just getting shot at. We already have MGs in place. They are just not hesitating.
No, and it's they really want to keep people out of this. It's not.
Oh yeah.
The thing that I thought about at the time too is like they want to keep people out, but they don't seem to be making too much of an effort because if they can't just shoot it and somebody slips by, it's not like they're sending like search parties to go get them.
Kind of a don't worry, we'll just let the zone handle them kind of deal.
They're just bored and they want to shoot something.
I did make a note here. I didn't specifically recall the dialogue, but they were talking about like their point of going into the zone here, I think, where they mentioned the room, right? This is where we got our first mention of the room and like what people's purpose of going there for is.
Yes.
Yes.
And so in my notes, I'm like, we're really setting up the Wishmaker with this one.
Yeah.
So we'll put that one in the pocket for now because it's going to come up later and we can talk about it when it's relevant.
There's a reason these guys are all willing to go into the zone. They have their own reason, but there's something they all want, a place they want to get to. And then we get
another great vehicle.
Well, when the train goes down, there's like, do you guys notice like in the back of a train car was like all these like pylons or like electrical power grid stuff?
It was like an electrical thing.
It was for high voltage overhead lines. The
okay.
Was it like the glass isolators?
Which the guards had no qualms shooting the shit out of to try to shoot three guys in a Jeep.
Well, you know, guard duty is very boring.
Yeah, he got some bonus points.
But okay, so our guys get on their weird little
They get on their
train car
little
thing.
rail speeder, their Dracene, and they go on their way.
And then finally, after how many minutes? After like, what was it, like 30 minutes in the movie?
30, 40 minutes in, yeah. We finally arrive
We
at the
unlock
zone.
colored film and we enter the zone.
We unlocked colored film is right. That was the very first thing I noticed. I'm like, we're in the zone and the zone has color.
It's Wizard of Oz. They've literally gone into Oz.
Yeah, they hit the button that
That's
brings the
crazy.
film into Technicolor.
Okay, so maybe I sound insane here, but maybe you guys understand what I'm saying. Like, when I was watching this movie, as I was watching it, all I could think of was that it felt in many ways like Tarkovsky was doing a response to Solaris. Like, obviously, both are based on different books by different authors. But, you know, there's that moment in Solaris where Chris, our movie Chris, not these Chris's, you know, our damp astronaut psychologist, you know, ends up on the station in Solaris, and he goes from like lush outdoor scenery to like this cramped, decrepit, falling apart space station, and it's such a jarring shift. It's you just get like that.
We have the
And
inverse.
here it's, you know, yeah, and here you go from like abandoned industrial wasteland and sepia tones to wide shots of green.
There's life here.
It's like if Solaris was about trying to keep people there, this is about keeping people out. It all felt very mirrored in a weird way.
Yeah,
And especially
I
when we
see
get to like
that.
ideas of what to do with the sci-fi thing, which we'll get to in later.
So my notes here, based off of the shots and the dialogue, were, unlike Stalker's boring real life, the zone is not grayscale. And then also, major depressive disorder is a requirement to enter the zone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, our guys get in and they sort of chill, and Stalker goes off on his own for a moment. And we get a few really cool details about the zone. We finally are in the zone. We've been hearing about it, right? And
Now we're here.
it's green, it's lush. There's abandoned stuff like posts, but like it's not industrial decay. It's more just nature has reclaimed this place. And then we also get, when we start talking about stalkers, the writer and the professor together, they say one of like the creepiest or like most interesting lines. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of it, but the whole bit, like, you know, his daughter is a mutant, a so-called zone victim. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Because his daughter has no legs.
Dun dun dun. And like all pre-Chernobyl too. This is what's creepy about it.
This gives me the same vibes as like Deus Ex predicted 9/11 or whatever.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so Deus Ex, the first one, released in 99, I think. And part of the game lore was that like a terrorist attack destroyed the World Trade Center, which is why it was not in the skyline in New York. And the reason for that was because like it had something to do with like the resources of the game like couldn't support having the twin towers there, because like in order to properly present them, it would have just been like too costly hardware wise. And so they were like, okay, well, we're gonna just not put it there, and then we're gonna make a lore reason why they're gone.
Huh.
That's terrifying.
Well, you learn something every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm learning about video games on a space history show. Also, there are flowers in the zone, and they don't give off a scent.
Well, wasn't it because oh yes, so that we have another character who is only ever mentioned in name only, Porcupine, who is another stalker.
He was like our stalker's mentor, essentially.
Yeah. I think, and again, I could be completely misremembering this, but I thought that Stalker had mentioned that the flowers were gone because they were removed by Porcupine, and then they regrew, and these new ones don't have a scent yet.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Like, yeah, it's like this place is supposed to be abandoned and empty, but somehow they keep finding things that are different this time around.
Things, yeah, just probably the result of anomalies.
And so we learn a few other things here too. The Stalker has these nuts with like cloth strung onto them, and he throws these around either sometimes before going someplace or leaving them as a marker so that you know that you've been here before. And it is clarified to us that the zone is like constantly changing, like minute by minute, even in cases. And so to make sure that you aren't accidentally doubling back on a place you've gone before, you have to leave something there. So as like a marker to know, like, hey, this isn't a new place. Because you could, it's very easy to get lost there.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the alien detritus or the debris from your visit or whatever created these sort of anomalies that just don't mesh with our reality, and so it keeps altering the space around it. And like also it affects like everyone's memory as well. Like people end up more disoriented, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah, we definitely get more and more hinged the later we go into this film. The longer our characters spend time in the zone, the more existential they become.
But meanwhile, our boy Stalker is like in heaven.
He's finally in his home.
He just takes a nap.
Just face down in the flowers.
So we go through a few scenes of traveling. We have lots of these like lingering nature shots. The movie does become progressively more and more wet as time goes on. And our boys decide that they need to take a nap, and they do so by like a stream. And the only thing that I really have note about this scene is the wetness, but also the fact that another character shows up, and it's Puppy. There's this black dog that shows up, and he appears in other scenes too. I'm not sure if there's any symbology behind this dog, but there's like a wild dog that follows them and shows up now and then. And I don't know, man, look, it's just Uppy, okay? Like,
it's also like as they're traveling, there's always like we were saying, like if a place was like abandoned and like overgrown, it's just like abandoned cars constantly and like a bunch of like abandoned tanks.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah. So like again, like you know, alien thing happened, and it's like trying to resist it with force clearly didn't work because there's just like these rusted out wrecks of military vehicles and rotting soldiers. Like,
oh yeah, it's like shots of just skeleton hands constantly every now and then.
Yeah, like there's this one shot of like a vehicle that had like a dead soldier skeleton man in it with like his like rusting away like rifle or whatever.
Yeah, there's
like,
a mounted machine gun position in there.
And it's interesting too because they don't really comment on it, but it's just this thing happened, it killed a lot of people, and people just had to flee this area. And instead of it, just the military basically decided, no, seal it off, don't let anything in or out. It's not expanding, it's not doing us, so just can't let anything in or out. And it's just terrible. I don't know, it's uneasy to watch. Like it's not scary, it's just constantly feeling like something isn't right, which I love. Yeah. And meanwhile, our guys are just looking constantly perplexed or scared, and Stalker is like, this is great. He keeps telling everyone else to go ahead of him, which I love.
Hey, he's guiding you there. It doesn't mean that he has to be the one to die. Yeah, that was also taking the writer's liquor and just pouring it into a hole. Listen, the zone was a little thirsty. You had to give it its drink.
Yeah, the zone must be respected, which means give it a drink.
Give it a sip.
I went back before we started this and we watched the tank room and scene, and it's just like 6 tanks and artillery pieces just left out and overgrown. It's you know, you ever see those documentaries about the like what would happen when, you know, nature reclaims abandoned areas. It's that vibe.
Anyway, our boys take their nap by the stream, and then things start getting a little weird. Because as it turns out, you know, like dreaming and continuity make things a little confusing here. Also kind of where our characters begin to start losing it. Because the professor and the writer kind of ramble at each other here. We start kind of having like personality clashes because the writer is very proseful and poetic, and then the professor is very grounded and very pragmatic, and so like they kind of butt heads about their existential views. And I don't know, I live for the monologues in this film. I love the writer and his pretentiousness. I think that this movie kind of captures themes of nihilism very well.
Well, and as all that's going on, like it's funny because like the writer sort of dominates the stuff early on, right? But you have Professor who's constantly like, carrying around his like rucksack. He's like keeps mentioning it. He won't leave without it. He freaks out when he thinks he's lost it. And you get that great bit like once they sort of get closer to the underground stuff, and Stalker says something along the lines of like, you know, it's like safe way. You can't take the short route. That takes longer. You have to go around the way to be safer. And safe ways get lost. He's like, you know, I've seen people die like, right at the end of their journey because they get lost or something along those lines. Like he knows this very well.
I do recall, I think the writer is like whinging, and he's like, "Are we there yet?" And the Stalker's like, "We're only like 200 meters away. Like it's not
right
a very far
there.
Distance, physically speaking.
Yeah,
it's right over there."
They see the entrance, and Ryder goes to it.
But but to get there, like, yeah, like they have to go this way and that, like the directions they travel and the paths they walk don't make any sense. The zone, as they say, is a reflection of the self, and so like if you're lost to despair here, then you are truly lost. Like there is no coming back for you. And I think that around here too is like where the Stalker mentions that like the fact that you two entered the zone at all means that the zone let you in. Like again, being a reflection of the inner self. Like selfish and vile people would be like immediately lost to their own like inner turmoils, and they'd just be lost and they would die.
They'll
like,
be consumed by it.
And it just seems like, you know, what was the line was talking about? Like former traps disappear, new ones enter. Just basically, you are not ready for what's coming, and nothing is safe. And there's that great bit where they think they see the entrance, and the writer goes to it, and he's walking up to the entrance, and he eventually stops, and he turns back, and they all say, "Do you tell him to stop? Do you tell him to stop? No, who told me to stop?" Like it's trying to mess up their minds now, which is great.
Oh yeah, they like hallucinate hearing each other. That's right. And this is about where my notes end. So the last thing that I had commented in here was about the time of Ryder's first monologue with the professor. And I'm like, this is just philosophy with a movie attached to it. And that is where my writings end. And I was fully subsumed by this movie. I was captured, and then they were kind of in places. Again, like part of the thematics of this movie is like, you're in the zone. Things don't entirely make sense. You're not sure what you're seeing or hearing is real. And so because I was watching this at like 1 a.m, I wasn't sure either, because I was not willing to rewind to watch the movie. If I'm like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Like, is the continuity of like this path of travel or like these segments of rooms, like, did I just see, you know, this character fall over? Like, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I just thought it was neat. Maybe I'm just a stupid bitch, but like, this is just a cool movie. Again, like, it's not a stuff happening film, but like everything has a purpose. But like, I can't really just describe continuity here. Like, it's like they are traveling through places that are wet, and like
if it sounds like we're going insane,
it's because you kind of will.
Yeah, like the things that happen in this movie, they meet in a bar, they get shot at by the cops or military, and then they enter the zone and they walk a lot, and then they all hallucinate to each other doing
and
something.
things make less and less sense the more you go in here.
But it gets more and more foreboding
and way more existential and philosophical.
And they absolutely start going more and more crazy.
Oh yeah, well, it's like this movie is what, like about 2 hours and 40 minutes, and halfway through is that dream sequence Chris was mentioning, and I made a joke. I joked earlier about the Wizard of Oz, you know, the whole like sepia to color thing. But like now, it is very Wizard of Oz because they have that dream sequence. They'll fall asleep, and it's that shot of what looks like snow falling. Which, you know, my notes say like, oh, that's apparently like toxic chemicals from the power plant they filmed at falling on the ground. And I'm like, this is just the poppy snow scene from Wizard of Oz, except it's poison.
Also noting that,
and there's a dog.
And then puppy, yeah.
Yeah, Toto.
But also noting that in this dream sequence, we're again going between what could be a dream and what could be reality. We actually lose color again, so it's confusing because it's like, well, the real world outside of the zone is in grayscale, but like things happen that are like, well, this looks like this is in the zone still.
And this is also where Stalker starts to get a lot more talkative because he's been very trapped in his own mind, like, you know, every place is a prison, and once they really get into the zone, he comes alive. It's like you find out that like everyone else is kind of like the writer is trying to find purpose, inspiration, and the scientist is seeking meaning. At least we think he is. Meanwhile, for Stalker, it's just, yeah, I have my passion. I know what I'm about. If these guys think they want, I'll show them it. You know, the whole let them believe, let them have a laugh at their passions. Also, I think I have this in my notes. Like once they do wake up, that's when we start to get like into the tunnels and also, or at least the waterfalls, and that's when the professor loses his backpack and he gets freaked out.
Yeah, because there was the quote, right? Because when they're then they reach the underground area, and then they have the dialogue because Stalker and Ryder lose Professor because, yeah, they enter like an underground section, and it's kind of like a sewerish kind of thing because it's all concrete and rocks and stuff, and like they realize the professor realized beforehand, oops, I forgot my rucksack. And so Stalker's like, you can't go back, you can never go back because you never the path is never the same, you're gonna get lost basically. And Ryder and Stalker realize that at some point that the professor is no longer following them, and so they surmise that he had gone back for his rucksack, and so they're like, we have to continue onward. And the Stalker's like, well, here it is, the dry tunnel, which, mind you, is still very wet. And then the Ryder, who is knee deep in water, is like, this isn't dry, this is wet. And then Stalker's like, well, it's a local joke. Normally you have to swim here. And you're dealing with like this rapid flowing water in this little underground room. Really claustrophobic and really wet. It's very Tarkovsky-pilled.
This guy just loves claustrophobic wet spaces.
And so they continue on, and they end up eventually coming back outside where they started, where they left the professor and his rucksack. They ended up in a place where they already were, and the professor was there, and he was okay.
So I got a question for you guys. I want to know if I was losing it or if you guys thought the same thing. Like, before they lose the professor, they find what looks like the remains of a fire, like a lot of embers and coals, and then they go into the tunnels and lose the professor. When they come back out, they find him, and he's having lunch in front of a fire.
Yes, I have a recollection of this.
Was time shifting around them? Was that the professor's fire after the fact?
Just having a bit of non-linear time. Just we're really delving into it.
I'm not the only one who thought that, right? Okay.
I think. I could also be completely wrong.
I also watched this late at night, so I wasn't sure if I was going insane.
Again, yeah, this watching Tarkovsky late at night is the best way to watch Tarkovsky.
Just to completely disorient yourself.
This man understood vibes, and those vibes are uneasiness and existentialism.
This movie has vibes, and the vibes are fantastic.
I'm smoking, I'm drinking, I'm wearing a great overcoat, I haven't slept, I'm Tarkovsky-pilled, I'm mildly damp.
The dampness is critical here.
Someone who has never seen Stalker or Solaris must be thinking we are insane if we bring up dampness.
Well, they will understand. They'll come to understand when they watch Stalker or Solaris. It's that simple. Like, and that's like, I love like the meta thematics of Tarkovsky's films, right? Because we literally sound insane talking about Stalker in the same way that Stalker sounds insane talking about The Zone, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to experience it yourself to understand.
Well, and it's interesting because he really treats it as this sort of like living being. The Zone must be respected. You have to take it seriously.
Stalker deifies The Zone. Like, it is something beyond, like nominally is beyond human comprehension, but like it's kind of also naturally occurring in a way.
He also treats it like a god, but also not a benevolent god, because you'll see like visit moments with like the gun and the tank. So he's like, "Don't do that. Don't freak it out. It'll punish us. It'll punish us." Like Azora. To bring it back to that one.
Oh God.
The zone will rise in the ocean. But no, it's like I keep going back to like this movie as an inverse of Solaris, because you get a lot of world building and a lot of big picture stuff in Solaris of like the different nations, the space program, a lot of setup. And here it's just kind of a lot of things you get secondhand, or you sort of intuit, because it's like we were just talking about the whole time displacement stuff. Like, it's never spelled out. Nothing is spelled out in this movie. It makes total sense as you watch it, but if like, we sound kind of insane describing it to the audience.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a really succinct way of putting it.
Like, it really does feel like the mirror image of that movie, right down to having Solzhenitsyn, instead of being the aloof jerk he was in Solaris, being the, well, very passionate and over the top jerk he is here.
So, reunited with the professor, and time making sense again, I suppose. Our protagonists resume their travel back to an underground area. How do we explain this? it's like the final leg of their journey to get to the room. Because the room is also underground in this wet tunnel system. And again, like being an underground concrete maze, it lends itself more to the sense of disorientation and becoming lost, right? Because now instead of it being just like open fields, you have to go room to room and door to door, and sort of has like the Cube vibes, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like
yeah,
you open the door and like it could be a trap, like
we mentioned Cube and not one Canadian is on here. Well, it's also
I realized that as I was saying, like the one Cube stan is going to be like, yes, Cube mentioned.
Well, this is also like at this point in the movie, like it's when you say it's the last leg. This is still an hour of movie left when they get to these tunnels. But we also learn a few things at this point. We sort of learn what the room is ever after. It's this space in the center-ish of the zone that apparently can grant anyone's wish or like deepest desire somehow.
It grants your deepest desire, and your deepest desires are like things that you just can't really like vocalize. Like you can't really turn that into a coherent thought to tell someone else. It's something that is felt very deeply at the core level of like one's soul. Like it isn't just like because it's like if you could speak that your innermost desire to someone else, then it's like I don't know, you kind of have like a hand in creating that desire, right? Like it's not just the truth, like a universal truth from the self. It is like you had a hand in molding that wish through your id or ego or what have you. Like it would not be true. And so it's like, because I think that is actually like a line of dialogue that one of the characters has, is like well, if it really was one of my innermost desires, it's like, could I even tell you? Would I even tell you? Like, would I even know? Like,
we also get some important details about Porcupine, the stalker before our stalker. We find out that, he's reached the center of the zone before. He's reached the room. And he also somehow got fabulously wealthy. Like, no one knows how. He just became into a ton of money. And he also, like, killed himself a week after coming back.
And we learn more about that later. So we'll keep that in the pocket, too.
At this point, something isn't right. Whatever's in the room will do that. But also, no guarantee you'll be happy afterwards. And also, I love is that you can't go back the way you came. Like, when we try to find professor, or they keep like trying to plot their path. It's like no, we have to keep going, and eventually we'll end up outside the zone once we finish this, but not the way we came.
You just go into a different liminal space each time you proceed.
And we also get just a fantastic once we get to the tunnels, like bickering moment of like, you go, no you go, no you go.
Yeah, it's very apparent by this point that like the zone has made them mad. It's very clear that the zone is playing on their human animalistic emotions. Like everyone is terrified at this point, including the stalker. Like it's powerful beyond human comprehension, and it just affects your emotive state just entirely subconsciously. There's a recurring theme of the writer being voluntold to go first.
I mean, they keep doing that. Like the stalker keeps telling them like, okay, professor, you go, writer, you go, I'll catch up.
But yeah, in this case, they have to go down the spooky bendy hallway.
Yeah, it's like a giant sewer with like little light holes above it that just have icicles coming down.
Slimicles. It seems kind of more goopy to me. I mean,
yeah, a goo.
But yeah, they draw matches, and the longest goes. And it turns out that the writer pulled the longest stick, and so he has to go first. And he proceeds absolutely terrified down the hall. But not before first throwing a rock through the door before he goes in.
He is just completely terrified. This is like
everyone is completely terrified, like beyond shitless. Like they are expecting to die in horrible ways at any moment, and that tension is there. And I will say, thankfully, is never actually realized. So you have like, again, it's Tarkovsky, so you have these long drawn out scenes, which again, like in this case, like really drives the tension in, because it's just slow going and you don't know if anything's going to happen. And
yeah, I mean, like this is that moment where Tarkovsky's style really pays off. Yeah. Also, like we should mention, like Stalker has been throwing these like metal nuts constantly, both to, like track their path and check for. I guess they call them anomalies. Is that the word they use?
I mean, that's the verbiage I'm familiar with from Stalker as a series. So yes.
Yes. So he's been checking for that, and so it's like, but now you have this one long hallway with only one way in and out. So good luck. Oh, and then Ryder gets to the end of the hallway, and we find out that he is strapped.
He brought a gun with him into the zone, and he was going to go into the room with the gun in his hand, expecting that there could be something in there that could harm him, and that the gun would do him any good. So Stalker pleads with him to not use the gun.
What's he gonna do? Shoot gravity?
To not whip out his Makarov.
Yeah, like Stalker, like he genuinely freaks out, like in the way that he treats us like a guy. He's like, "Don't do it." Is it the professor or the Stalker who says, "Who are you gonna shoot at?"
I know it was like one of them, but yeah, it's like who would you even shoot at? What would this gun even do? It's this false sense of security bestowed upon you by technology. Like, this is beyond our comprehension. Like, what will that even do for us? And so he leaves the gun and then enters the door and
gets more damp.
Because the way across into the room is this like descending staircase to ascending staircase, kind of like service room that's like partially flooded, and so he has to go up to like his chest in water to get across. And it wouldn't be a Tarkovsky movie if your actor wasn't getting completely drenched in like bog water. So our boy gets wet and then ascends the staircase out of eyeshot against the Stalker's advice. And then here we have a little bit more time fuckiness. And something I noticed, we're going back to the first time they took a nap. There was some visualization on the screen of like inky, oily water, like it's like a circle. And that seems like a bottom of a well to me, like in perceptiveness and like how I perceived it. Like it's like a bottom of a well. And so coming back to present, the Stalker and the professor then continue onward, trying to follow after the writer. And the writer and the Stalker is convinced that the writer has died because he has gone ahead, just, hasn't waited. They weren't being cautious. And they ascend the stairs into this room that's very dry. It's like, it's got like sand all over the place, and there's like columns.
Yeah, it's like just rolling sand dunes in this long hallway. Like all of these scenes, once they've come inside, are all framed as like long hallway shots. It's like depth. And it's all about depth, right? Like distance, and you feel.
Yeah.
Also, Professor notably keeps his rucksack above his head when he crosses the little flooded area.
It's important that his possessions don't get wet.
Yeah. And here's where we see our first real "the zone will fuck you up" moment.
Yeah, I think this was like this. It's on the edge of memory for me here, because this is kind of like I think this is like writer's perspective now, right? Like it's him kind of having his fucked up like time shittery dream stuff going on.
He's kind of become like the new protagonist in a weird way. Like from his POV, like there's a great line the Stalker has, like he's gone the wrong path. Some of those lines, like, because notably it's all dry, it's all these sand dunes of this weird abandoned hallway, but Ryder wakes up in a pond of water.
Yeah, and again, the whole point of like he's gone the wrong way, but there's only one way to go. It's a straight hallway with only one door on either end. Like there isn't any other real physical way to go, but you could still get lost. Yeah. And yeah, so he's in this room. Yeah, and like he's on the far side of this room that's full of these like little mini sand dunes, and he's next to what looks like a well, and there's water on the ground that he is laying near.
It's very much like Super Mario pipe.
Yeah, and so he gets up, and Stalker and Professor are on the other side of the room, and they're relieved to see that he is alive and moving. And then we have a little bit of I think there's some monologuing that goes on here, but the writer sits down on like the lip of this pipe and he picks up a rock and drops it in it. And this is why I remember this imagery, because it goes back to the first dream sequence when they took a nap by the river, of this oily, inky black liquid circle that is suddenly disrupted by a rock falling into it. And the writer drops this rock, and it's a solid like number of seconds, like an unreasonably long amount of time before you hear a splash at the bottom.
Like, yeah, this place
and this
is so
is
unnatural.
still not the room, by the way.
No.
Yeah, like this room is very unnatural, but it edges on like a lot of the locations in this movie like have an eerie and unnatural vibe to them, but the entire zone, like it just leaves you with a sense of familiarity. Like it's like you've never been to this place, but it doesn't feel alien. It doesn't feel like it's benign or malicious. Like it's just like I don't know, man. You're like left with a sense of like familiarity. It's like almost like a dream, you know, like in when you're having your dreams, like places aren't weird to you because they are conjured up by the inner, like your inner self, like your imagination has created this. And so like it's weird and doesn't make any sense, this continuum of where they have been and where they've gone. And it's just like,
and it's getting more harsher, be like the breaks of like, and now you're suddenly here and you have no memory of how you got here. Well, and also listeners, you know, this movie is long. We said it's about 2 hours and 40 minutes. And at this point, we're only about an hour 45 in, and now things are finally happening. This is not a stuff happens movie.
It's not a stuff happens movie, and we have all this time left. And again, we're like an hour and a half into our recording. A lot of dialogue is going to happen soon.
This is such a great monologue. Like you were telling me, you love monologues. Like this is all like Ryder just being like, you know, I have no conscience. I have only nerves, which is because he's fully like broken at this point by this whole experience.
Which again, like it was interesting to me that like the writer feels this way, because that's sort of like a very, very pragmatic worldview, right? Like you would expect that the professor would be like, well, no, like there isn't, you know what I'm saying? Like he'd be like really hard science about it. It's like no, like I'm just an electric meat sack. I'm not anything greater than this. And the writer has kind of like this little breakdown, because it's like what is the point of all of this? Like, what is the purpose of doing anything even? Like, and I can pull up the quote once we get there, but we're not quite here just yet, right? Like, because we have another room to enter, and then the dog will come back.
Yeah, which maybe that was time related. I couldn't quite tell.
So we segue from the Dune Sandy room to like this dilapidated, homey kind of room. How do I explain this? There's an old phone on the floor, and you kind of are left with the impression that we're like not underground anymore, because I think there's a window, but it's like all boarded up. There's natural lighting, I guess is my point.
This is also where we get some really interesting information. Like the Stalker is talking about how like the pipe is the most dangerous part of the zone, and this area is called the meat grinder. Like to enter the room, you have to sacrifice someone to the meat grinder to get by.
Well, someone or something, right?
Yeah,
because it's not like and so yeah, so the writer gets upset about it, because like you basically you just chose me to be sacrificed, because he insisted as like, well, you had me pull matches, but both of the matches you had me pull were long ones, weren't they? Like I didn't have a choice, you made me do it. And I think that's another theme that kind of gets like kind of touched upon here, because like I think that I was left thinking about like deterministic reality, right? And so the Stalker's like, well, no, I didn't make you do it. This is how it was supposed to be. There's no reason to be upset. Like you're here, you made it, and everything is happening the way that it was supposed to happen. And it's like, I don't know that the professor has anything to tune into here, but like, I don't know. There's just a lot of monologuing in this part of the movie.
Yeah, and it's also like the most like intense part of the movie because we're finally getting like the confrontation, the answers, and we get like the funniest moment in the movie. Like I laughed with the we gotta talk about the phone.
Oh yeah, I mean the phone is really important because this is like the professor's character development arc. So
Yeah, in the last 45 minutes, we get all the development basically. Like the whole scene, dear listener, is framed like you're in this tiny room. There's natural light in like a window, but you're like sort of framed outside that room, looking in through a door, and they're all just like in the doorway. And there's this like old, like timey, like pickup phone in front of them, and they're all just bickering, mainly for Ryder and Stalker, and the professor's just there.
and there's like this big bulbous lamp in the ceiling, and there's a light switch. And I don't necessarily remember the order of operations here, so forgive me. But I think that the writer flips the light switch, the light turns on and then kind of like burns brightly and then burns out, and then the phone starts ringing.
Yes. Like they're arguing and the phone starts ringing, and finally like Ryder just can't take it anymore. So he just stops, picks up a phone. I think I want to say the line is, yes. He says, is this for you? I don't know. Who knows? He picks it up. He says, yes, hello? No, this isn't the clinic. And he hangs up. And then they all stop and look at the phone.
And they're like, who the fuck rang this phone? How did this work?
It's such a great comedy moment.
The professor picks up the phone and dials a number and talks to a man on the phone that he knows, which I surmised to be like a colleague of sorts. Because again, like the professor is a scientist and the guy that he's talked to sounded like a scientist, and they have beef with each other and a history that goes back. And the professor is basically like rubbing in the fact like, hey, bud, you know where I am right now? And then the guy he's talking to on the phone with is like, if you're where I think you are, you're in big trouble, mister.
I'll call the
cops. You're going to lose your job and go to jail. Yeah, like you realize you are through being a scientist if you are where I think you are. And he's like, what are you going to do about it?
Oh, it's so he has like 2 lines. I think it was like, he's like, you hit it and I found it, which is interesting. And he's like, I'm only 2 steps away. I'm about to get it.
And so he has his humble brag gloat moment about being near the room. And
because he's been quiet the entire time this has been going on.
Yeah, he has not had much to say in this movie. And again, like this is kind of where things start to resolve, and we are going to learn a lot about the professor and his motives very shortly. And so they finish this phone call.
Oh, wait, hold up. We can't forget, the reason they have beef, you ever scientist says,
yeah,
you just wanted to mess with me because 20 years ago I slept with your wife.
And we don't really have confirmation whether or not that was truly the core of the beef, but that is some tea on the professor.
Yes, after almost 2 hours of existentialism and long, lengthy shots and creepy scenes of long hallways, we find out that one guy's motive, possibly, is to get back at the guy who slept with his wife.
Which goes hard. That rules. The degrees of human pettiness have no floor.
Yeah. And this is the moment that the writer and the professor flip in me. It's like, professors have this humbling, and the professor turns out to be just like this petty bitch.
So we proceed down the only path that we can go, and we are at the room that is outside of the room. We are finally here. It is the penultimate destination. It is kind of like this, Nicholas, how you describe it? It's kind of like, to me, I think it's kind of like a generator room, and it's kind of partially flooded, like it's concrete.
Yeah,
it's a little wet.
If that whole
there's some rooms that branch off from it.
It looks like basically the inside of an abandoned house. It's like the background looks like a house, but the room itself is flooded. There's like broken glass. There's another shot of like a skeleton hand just like in the water, and there's just this kind of like there's another door that's lit up, and no one's going inside, and you can't see what it is because it's like out of frame. And they're just there.
Yeah, like the entrance to the room isn't so much of a door as it is just like a precipice from here. But yeah, it's out of shot at the moment. And the dog is back. The dog has not constantly been here, and the dog has like been showing up again from time to time, and we have no idea whether or not this dog is real. And and or how it manages to, keep in track with everyone that it's following.
Yeah, because nothing's supposed to exist in the zone. There's supposed to be no life, like animal life. But now we have a dog and we have phones ringing, and you can apparently get outside connection, and electricity kind of works maybe. And then Stalker is basically saying, okay, guys, take it seriously. This is the most important moment of your life. We are here. Your most cherished desire will come true here.
And I mean, hey, maybe somebody's truest desire was a dog.
Oh, it's so great too, because like Stalker, this is where we get like the full, like his religious fervor for the zone. He's like, you guys don't have to talk. This is such a great moment. It's gonna be fine. Just concentrate, and you'll be okay. He truly is a believer. And this is, he's like almost on the verge of tears, it looks like. Like, it's a great performance. And then we get just, this is where we get the twist of a movie. I don't want to call it a twist, but just the left field moment from the professor.
Yes. So the professor here reveals before they enter the room his intention for coming and why he needed to bring his rucksack with him. The professor brought a bomb. A very high yield but very small bomb. And the intention is to destroy the zone, because in the pragmatic worldview that the professor holds is that if, innocent people can arrive here and use the zone's power to grant their wishes, then what's to stop some, uncouth and evil people from coming here and doing the same? Like, because like they talk about like, well, if you could have any wish granted, what would you wish for? And it's like, oh, well, I mean, world domination for one. And that is, again, a thematic that the professor comes up again. It's like, well, if someone could do that, like it doesn't matter whether or not the zone is natural. Like, that is power that cannot be trusted to like humanity, right? Like, it's not good if it's like a situation of like, well, what if, corrupt people force their way into the zone through military power or whatever and arrive at the room and have their wish granted to alter reality to their will. Like, and so he feels compelled to complete the task that I think is related to him being a scientist. Like, again, like the guy that he talked to on the phone. I think that they had made that bomb together and he took that with him into the zone to destroy the zone. I mean, realistically, against everyone else's wishes, right? Like, because the other scientists want to study the zone, but he wants to destroy it because he thinks that it's too dangerous to
like,
just
this is a moment
there.
where, again, it's very heavy and some big shocking moments, but it's also funny because, like, what is this? Oh, it's a soul meter, the writer says. It's like, what's a bomb? What? It's just a 20 kiloton bomb, I think is the exact quote. But also, this is where I keep going back to my whole, like, this is an inverse or riff on Solaris themes. Maybe not intentionally, but there is something there, because it's like, in Solaris, when presented with, alien life, everyone understands, like Snart and Sartorius, they all realize, no, this is alien life, this is what it is. There's the video from Gabarian, which is saying, it's sane. Like, we were all saying nothing is insane. We're not crazy here. This is real. And we can't decide whether to, like, destroy the planet or study it. And everyone here knows about the zone. The zone is real. They know there's a room. They all accept that. And you have this guy whose response is, well, the logical thing is simply to destroy it. We've been visited by aliens. We don't understand this. Let's just destroy it.
Yeah, and again, like, here we have this clash of, like, pragmatism versus, like, I don't know, like the dreamer, like the like, clearly after having traveled through the zone and witnessing all of the, like, ruined military things around the zone, that, clearly attempting to resist it by force is feeble and essentially pointless. And so the pragmatist in him is like, well, clearly we just haven't tried hard enough to do it, right? Like, it's like, clearly we just simply haven't brought a weapon that's powerful enough to destroy the zone and protect humanity from it. Not realizing that, like, clearly force is not the answer. And so, like, then big monologues happen here. And I'm trying to see if I can, like,
while
pull
you're
them
doing
up.
that, it's just, you know, if Solaris is about what happens when we travel from space to something alien and try to like essentially subconsciously or intentionally impose our will on it, our memories, Stalker is about what happens when space comes to us and we can't grapple with that, you know, because we're not seeing astronauts or space travel. We're simply seeing what aliens did to this place, what that did, and how we can't grapple with that fact. Yeah. Oh, that was it. Yeah. Because the scientist says, professor says, you know, yeah, they hid this bomb, but I found it and I'm ready to use it.
Yeah, and then that again like becomes realized to us is that he wasn't referring to them hiding the zone. He was referring to them hiding the bomb.
And then we get the closest thing we have to an action scene outside of a cop shooting at them.
Stalker has an emotional breakdown because he's like, you guys, like, you can't destroy the zone. You can't take away, my hope, humanity's hope, because like that's what the zone represents, because the zone is infinite potential, right? Like the zone is always changing and it's a reflection of the inner self. And so Stalker's purpose for bringing people here isn't the money, which like clearly he still needs the money, but like the purpose that he has, which is what he wants everyone to have, is like you come to the zone to learn about your innermost self, and the people that he brings here are people who are like damaged beyond repair, like people who really need something beyond themselves to be helped. And that's why I say like major depressive disorder is a requirement
like,
to be here.
Yeah, like here's your space exploration element to this episode. It's Earth has gone stagnant, basically. Like everyone else is decaying. The writer's lost his inspiration. Everything is just sepia and gray outside. Nothing is new. Nothing is changing except the things that are tied to space. Like and
which in this case is alien garbage.
And what beautiful garbage it's created
in the zone. And what beautiful garbage it's created. And so, yeah, so Stalker's like, you're going to blow it up? I mean, like, no, dude, like, please, you can't. This is all we have. Like, this is, if you blow this up, you blow me up, man. Like,
and the writer backs the professor somehow.
And they punch Stalker. And
yeah, a tough ex-con is like pathetic at one point.
He's pathetic. Well, I mean, again, like, the farther he's gone into the zone, the more like emotional and unhinged he's become. And so like he's very like the inner self of him, like his inner depressive is like just so beyond lost of any will to do anything without the zone. And so, God, I wish that I could like find just the script, because writer's monologue here is really good.
He's basically like, he's arguing like, you know, you're all trying to decide who lives in his eyes. It's great. He says like, I know why the Stalker himself never enters the room.
Yeah, the Stalker himself never enters the room. He just brings people there because he gets to have the power, because he's the one who is bringing salvation to people, right? Like he's the one who knows the zone. Yeah, he's the one that can take them to the room. And so, yeah, like he has the power because he wants to have the God complex of being able to help those who can't be helped. And so the writer insists he will not go into the room because he will he says, quote, I won't go into your room. I won't pour the filth of my soul onto anyone's head. Because like the writer, his whole thing by this point, he's very clearly like extremely nihilistic about like his place in the world. And so I don't remember if it was the monologue in the sand room or if this is the monologue he does now, but the writer is like, you put your heart and soul into your work and they devour you. They even devour the filth in your soul. They're all literate. They all have voracious appetites. They all keep crowding round, journalists, editors, critics, a constant stream of women, all of them clamoring for more. What kind of writer am I if I detest writing? It's torture for me, a painful, shameful occupation, something akin to extruding hemorrhoids. I used to think my books helped people to become better, but nobody needs me. If I die, in a couple days they'll find someone else to devour. I wanted to change them, but they changed me to fit their own image.
That's me as a journalist,
and
everybody.
So, like, he has, yeah. So he becomes very reflective of himself and his place in the world. And yeah, like, I don't know, here I have more of his monologuing. A man writes because he is tormented, because he doubts. He needs to constantly prove to himself and the others that he's worth something. And if I know for sure that I'm a genius, why write then? What the hell for? And so it's like if he goes to the room because he wishes to be like a super genius, great writer, it's like a paradoxical, right? In his own philosophy, because if he truly believes in his own superiority, then like he's no longer a writer. Like he's just an egotist, right? He no longer doubts himself. He no longer has like ideas to put to paper that he thinks are worth hearing, because if he's comfortable with himself, it's like, well, what's the point then?
This is also, we finally, as everyone is finally like snapping and losing and breaking down, we finally get the reveal of what's happened to Porcupine, the guy we've never seen, who's been hanging over this whole movie since they entered the zone. We found out why he killed himself.
And yes, so Porcupine killed himself because he brought his brother to the zone, and his brother died because of him. He
went into the room, Porcupine that is, to try and plead for his brother to come back to life. And the zone,
and all the room gave him was infinite money.
Dark as hell. Thank you, Soviet cinema.
And then like there was, I think that we mentioned it at the beginning too. We did Stalker's monologue, but like there's a lot of like anti-capitalist themes at the end of this.
Everyone was just a giant bomb next to them the entire time. And then I also love this because they're standing outside the room. They are on the verge of allegedly this like thing that can solve all your problems. And finally, Ryder starts asking, so how do you know if this actually works? Have you ever seen anyone who comes out of here happy?
My God, what kind of people are they? The look in their eyes is blank. And this is him talking about the writer and the professor. They're thinking how to not sell themselves cheap, how to earn more, how to get paid for every breath they take. They know they were born to be someone, to be special. They say, you live but once. How can such people believe in anything at all? Which again, like to me, it's kind of like the idea of like they have been living in, this world that revolves around like, wealth and status, and like the idea of what the self should be is dictated by that mentality and philosophy, right? There isn't an individual. It's just someone who's trying to be like, okay, it's my turn to play the game and follow the cookie cutter steps and make it big. And it's like, what's the point? Like, what does that mean?
Stalker rejects hustle grind culture.
It's making me think about this little clip. This clip I saw with Mike Tyson. It was before the fight. Yeah, it was before the fight, and he was being interviewed by this girl, and she's like, "It's like, what do you want to leave behind? Like, what is your legacy?" And Mike Tyson's like, "Legacy? Why the fuck would I care about that, man? I'm gonna be dead, right? Like, what do I give a shit about legacy? Like, legacy is a thing you care about when you're alive and have an ego to care about a legacy. It's like, I'll be gone. Like, I won't fucking care. Like, and so like this is kind of the same thing to me, at least, is like what's the point of wishing for like this ultimate power and stuff? It's all so base, right? Like, it's all playing onto your ego to be someone, to be like a name that people remember. It's like, what really is the point? You're going to be dead too someday, and who cares if people remember you or not? Like, most people aren't remembered when they die. Like,
well, and they do all this stuff, and they finally deal with that. And then as they're all basically crying and sitting down, Ryder professor's like, it's like, yo, yeah, and just turns off a bomb and chucks it into the water.
He takes it apart and throws all the pieces into the water, and once again, mankind's efforts to force destruction upon the zone end up submerged in the wetness.
And they just sit down.
And it would not be a Tarkovsky film if our protagonists were not sitting indoors in a room and it starts raining and it's very wet.
Just three guys just getting drenched, and it's such a great scene.
It's just three guys being dudes sitting together in the wettest room you've ever seen, and their wishes are granted. They have obtained new universal knowledge about the world by being faced with existentialist dread and nihilism, and they are now free.
Well, the thing that's getting me is that this whole scene with Rain is shot, or perspective is from the room at Grant Your Wishes, like looking out at them. Like the way it's been shot, like that was a space, and we're all just watching inside, and it's looking back at them, and we never see what it is.
And again, it's like, is it even just conceivable? Like, is it not simply just beyond comprehension to observe? And so it's like, it can't be observed. And so instead we just see our protagonists instead from the perspective of the room, right? Like,
yeah. Well, and then the rain stops, and we see in the water the bomb as like murky, oily goo washes over it.
Also, it does look vaguely like blood.
That's true.
yeah.
Oily blood. And then we're back.
And there's like fish. There's fish in there too that are actors, mind you. Those fish are actors.
Well compensated fish.
The Soviet Fish Union.
The cod lobby was well represented here.
And then they're there. They mope and
They
we're
experience
home.
a brief like microburst inside the room.
Yeah, they experience the most releasing nihilist thoughts they could ever make, and then
The rain.
we're home. We're back.
It's back to grayscale.
Inexplicably. Yeah, we're back to
But they have a dog
grayscale.
this time.
Everyone's
Yes.
back. The dog is
The
with
dog
them.
is there. They got something out of it. They're back at the bar. They are drinking, and they have a dog.
Yeah, true happiness at the end of the day is a dog.
They don't know how to explain what they experienced, but they have come away from their adventure changed irrevocably.
And notably, this is all sort of now from the perspective of Stalker's wife, who brings the daughter with them. Also, she asks, "Hey, where'd the dog come from?"
And then apparently the writer has 5 of them.
The writer has too many dogs. You can't take another one.
Also, these guys all look so sad and so just like, I just want to drink and be left alone.
They really did find themselves just a little bit.
It is a dude's rock movie moment.
Just having a fucking emotional journey, then winding back up at the bar like, wow, that happened, didn't it?
Oh my, and it just really does feel like the Wizard of Oz. It's just back to grayscale. And Stalker leaves them to go back with the wife and his child. And I guess the dog? Or does the dog go with them or not? But
The dog is with them, yeah.
yeah. And this is where, this is just such a, not bad, but strange ending to the movie, I guess, because it's all about the wife now and happiness.
This is where he has his misery moment on the floor.
Oh, also, I said it's all grayscale again, which it is. It's sepia tones, except for when the daughter, Stalker's daughter, who's like, but she's a zone victim, right? She is always shot in color.
I didn't notice that, actually.
Oh yeah, she's always in color because I'm not saying she's a child of a zone, but like some of a zone is in her. I don't really know how to phrase it. But you guys get what I'm trying to say.
She's zoned up, is what you're saying.
Yeah, she's fully zoned up. Like she, in the same way that like,
Well, it's because the zone changed Stalker, and then Stalker, made a child with his wife, and that child, by extension of him having been to the zone, is touched by the zone.
I mean, one thing I'm taking away from this movie is don't have kids when you're zoned up.
again, this is like, again, Solaris, Sartorius and Snap were just saying, we have to stop it. We have to stop the alien planet from spreading. And Stalker's like, no, I'm going to have a kid outside the zone.
And his kid has no legs.
No, she has legs. They just don't work.
Okay, I mean, they describe it as she has no legs.
Yes.
You're right.
She has
She's
legs.
crippled.
Yeah,
she has
she's
to use
disabled,
she
yeah.
has to use crutches. So so reunited with wife and child plus dog. We're grayscale in the bar, sort of have a debrief, and then I wasn't exactly sure what to make of what happens next, because it's Stalker and his family plus dog now traveling somewhere, but it's not grayscale. But I don't feel like it's in the zone. I don't know, because like they go travel together, and maybe they do go into the zone. I'm not sure, but then immediately we're back to being in grayscale. So like I don't know what the significance of that is.
Also, yeah, I think it's just anytime a daughter is sort of perceived, she brings that out in them. But then we get finally, like we were talking about, Stalker is essentially an evangelist for his zone, right? Finds his purpose.
No, wait, you're right. So they aren't in the
am.
zone. It's because the daughter is in the shot and they're walking past the power plant that's been poisoning the cast and crew the entire time.
Yes.
But yeah, the daughter's in the shot, and the daughter being touched by the zone has hope. And that's why she's colored in and is in grayscale.
And Stalker just gets a great line. It's like, they call themselves the intelligentsia for writers, for scientists. They have nothing. They've lost their faith in the world. Like, and then we basically like sort of reverse the way the movie ended with him getting undressed and getting back into bed like we found him.
Yeah. I was thinking like that as I watched it happen. I'm like, everybody knows. I think everyone here knows my stance on things ending where they begin. And having this be mirrored where he's getting back into bed, but on the opposite side this time, like the same bed where the movie started, I was just, if it wasn't 1:30 in the morning, I would have been just cheering loudly, dude. Like, I love when things end where they begin. Like, I just love that as a thematic piece.
Well, like, to keep it thematic, like we have this deep, supernatural, science fiction-y, existential movie, and it ends with more Soviet marital or Eastern European marital stuff. Because the movie is basically ends with a wife. There's
some quotes from the wife here at the end, or just before the end. Or again, like Nicholas said, like this is kind of from his wife's perspective now. So she has a monologue.
Like directly into the camera.
Yeah, like directly into the camera. She's just talking to herself. And she says, Mama was very opposed to it. You've probably already guessed that he's one of God's fools. Everyone around here used to laugh at him. He was such a wretched muddler. Mama used to say, he's a stalker, a marked man, an eternal jailbird. Remember the kind of children stalkers have. I didn't even argue. I knew all about it, that he was a marked man, a jailbird. I knew about the kids. Only what could I do? I was sure I'd be happy with him. I knew there'd be a lot of sorrow, but I'd rather know bittersweet happiness than a gray, uneventful life. Perhaps I invented all this later, but when he came up to me and said, come with me, I went, and I've never regretted it. Never. There was a lot of grief and fear and pain, but I've never regretted it nor envied anyone. It's just fate. It's life. It's us. And if there were no sorrow in our lives, it wouldn't be better. It would be worse, because then there'd be no happiness either, and there'd be no hope. Which, again, good philosophy, but also thinking about how when the child is in frame, it's always in color. And because the zone is in color, the color represents hope. And therefore, children and the future represent hope, which is a cool cool theme, right? Like, I think that's how I kind of take that away.
And then, Chris and 20 Kiloton Chris should take this one, but the last scene with the kid.
Oh, this is the crown of this movie, dude.
It's so good. Like it's in the same way. Okay, so going back. I gotta bring back to Solaris, guys. I can't stop this, but like you get that shot at the end of Solaris. Spoiler if you haven't seen the movie, where you think it's you get the emotional payoff, and it's like, oh nope, sci-fi twist. After the wife says this whole thing, we cut to the kid reading a book. And there's like 3 glasses on the table. And
she has a quote. She has a quote here too. Actually, this is important to go with the scene.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the movie, we were woken up by the sound of a train. And that train was, you can hear it running on the tracks. It's coming closer. It's passing the house. It woke Stalker up. We're at the end of the movie, and Martha, the Stalker's daughter, she's like laying on a table looking at the glasses that are there. And the train comes by. We can hear the train, and like the whole table kind of starts rocking. Like you can see the glass that's on the table that has like a whiskey in it or something. It's kind of shaking, and it's definitely shaking a lot more than if a train were just passing by the house. And Martha is just staring dead into the camera as we're watching the camera pan out. And we hear the train and the table shakes, and then Martha starts like staring at one of the glasses, and it starts moving. Like nobody's touching it. It just starts sliding across the table.
As her eyes move with it.
As her eyes move with it. And she repeats this action with the other two glasses until she gets to the third one, which she pushes completely off the table. Martha, the stalker's daughter, is fucking psychic and is fucking telekine and pushing stuff around with her brain.
She is a mutant, basically.
She is a mutant from the zone, and that's kind of like
the zone has reached outside the zone.
Just the key is don't have kids when you're zoned up.
Nah, have kids when you're zoned up. Fucking Stalker's child is the first controller. Like, she can use brain power and psychically attack people. Like, it's crazy, dude. Stalker.
Like, literally the military has been keeping the zone locked up. They jail anyone who tries to go in and out of it if they catch them. The writers trying to get in to find inspiration. The scientists is trying to get in to professor trying to get in to destroy it. And meanwhile, Stalker's like, yeah, brought outside the world without even realizing it. Or maybe he does realize it. Who knows?
And despite all of their efforts to try to force the zone to not exist outside of the zone, it happened anyway. And the reason for that is because of the human spirit. You can't take away humanity's humanity in order to protect itself, right? Like, and so Martha knocks the glass off the table, and, you know, we kind of fade out and into silence, and that's the end of the movie. So,
and then they made a horror survival video game out of this, apparently.
Very popular.
And I guess there's a new one coming out. I don't know video games. It'll be out for a week if this comes out, dear listener.
Yeah, it's November 20th, so yeah, it'll be coming out this week.
Yeah.
So.
But that was like, I love that ending, though, because it's just, if it had ended with them leaving, like, in the bar, okay, fine. But no, it's, the roadside picnic has spread.
I just love eating garbage.
Yeah, the kid is just garbage from the aliens.
So yeah, that was 2.5 men ranting for about 2 hours, give or take, about a movie that you should definitely watch rather than just listen to us rave about it. It's really good.
I mean, you will microwave your brain a bit, but in a good way.
I was like, again, like when I watched Solaris, like watching Tarkovsky changes you. It's definitely helped if you watch it at midnight before you go to bed. It's like, I don't know, man. Yeah, like when I watch it, like literally like super late at night, it's just like my evening companion, you know?
So let's talk about being Tarkovsky-pilled.
All right, go ahead.
Like, I'd seen a couple of other movies that are not sci-fi in any way, like Andrei Rublev and The Sacrifice. Not sci-fi, but these two sci-fi movies, like, he does so much with, like, just a concept, just like, you know, dead wives and neutrinos and or like a zone, and it's low effect. Like, there's not a huge special effects budget, but it gets under your skin. It gets really, really, not uncomfortable is the right word, but like, it fucks with you. It makes you think.
It really does.
It's like Twilight Zone-y is the best way I can think of it. Like,
yeah, it fucks with you in the ways that are like what good tension is like. Because yeah, again, like, there wasn't special effects in this movie, really. It's just shots of places and people going to just traveling, right? Like, the tension is just all through like the story building. You know, there's never like monsters and huge explosions and dudes being ripped apart by a tornado on screen or something. Like, it's philosophy with a movie, man. Like, that's my takeaway from Tarkovsky, especially from Stalker. Like, it's philosophy coded with a story on top of it. And
I think that's a good explanation.
The whole point is to make you think, because like, that's the whole thing that like Stalker and the Zone is about, is just like, the zone is a reflection of the self. And so by extension, like, the movie and the story are a reflection of the human condition, you know? Like, if you can't stop and ask yourself these hard-hitting questions, like, what the fuck does it matter if I don't become a quadrillionaire before I die, you know? Like, becoming big and famous and having a well-known name doesn't matter to anyone. Like, if I die and people erect statues of me after my death, what the fuck do I really care, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so past the point of like your human emotiveness. And I know that immediately I'm gonna get the, like, if I told this like in a group chat, like, I'll immediately get the jokester be like, well, suit yourself. I'm gonna I'm gonna have my fucking big peen statue erected, and I'm gonna be all chill with that. I'm like, well, maybe you just haven't reflected on the pointlessness of your existence.
Like, also, maybe I'm like overreading here, which is like fine. It's what I do. But like this just came out in '79. It's just like, you know, people have already been to space. People have been on the moon. You have a Soviet Union, which is starting to like completely fall apart around you. Here's this movie about like, yeah, we're in this decaying urban environment. Everything sucks. There's no faith or no emotion left in the world. Everyone's losing purpose. And oh, we have this world-changing thing we've done. And everyone's like, okay, cool. We just keep guards in front of it. Like, this is absolutely a movie about what happens when you have a decaying society and what matters. Does anything matter at all? Maybe the youth? Maybe the kids of the future? I don't know. Is that Tarkovsky? Kids of the future. That's the plan.
Kids are the future. And I want to reiterate too, when I say the pointlessness of one's existence, I don't mean like the absolute futility of existing. I just mean that like if you take the ego out of humanity, right? Like the I gotta be big and important kind of mindset, like life has no hard rules. It just is. And I don't know, it is what it is, man.
This movie was so good.
Yeah, this movie's really good. You should just watch it instead of just taking it from us. Maybe do both. Take it from us and watch the movie. I mean, if you're here and hearing me say this, then you've already gone through like at least 90 minutes maybe of episodes. So
like this movie just,
it's a good ass movie.
It's a good ass movie, and you can just tell the ways that like I love Annihilation, the Alex Garland movie. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And that's riffing on this. It's keeping the same ideas, and this is just kind of that like, for example, and it's that Tarkovsky style of it. Like, the man cannot do a short take. The man cannot just let things like be fast, and it works. It absolutely works.
I love it when things aren't fast. Like, again, this is so refreshing. Like, I thought about the entire time that I was watching this. It's not
like I said at the top of this episode, if you ever forced him to do any take shorter than a minute, he would haul off and punch you in the face.
Yeah, when I was watching this, like, especially like during the meat grinder, I'm like, if this was an American media film, like, we could not have gone 5 seconds without some kind of event elevation, you know, like, or event escalation. Like, something has to constantly be happening to draw the viewer in, right? Like, but there's no action scenes in this movie, like, and it's also just not stuff happening. Like, there's scenes that are intentionally shot. Like, everything is intentional the way that this movie is designed. It's not just like we have this set that looks cool and you're gonna look at it. It's like it's all important visualizations, both like thematically and also like, how do I explain this, in a way that your emotions relate to, you know, like there's layers.
Well, it's like they did an American remake of Solaris, right? And I'm trying to think like, could anyone do a remake of Stalker?
No. I don't even think that the remake of Solaris should have happened either, because that completely overlooked the thematics of the original and replaced it with here's the storylines and we'll just follow on that kind of thing. Again, like a very American media type presentation, you know, like if there isn't stuff constantly going on and a singular story thread to follow, then the interest is somehow lost. I don't know. I don't want to sound pretentious talking about it like this, but like, I don't know. It was refreshing.
It's not pretentious. It's Soviet.
It's Tarkovsky. I mean, I'm pilled. I've said this is like the seventh time I might have said this today, but I don't know. Tarkovsky, fantastic. Everyone should be forced to watch these movies
at some juncture.
Yeah, listener, if you have 3 hours to kill, watch this movie. It's available with subtitles. Also,
if you don't like watching 3-hour movies, well, I mean, you listen to 3-hour podcasts that we've done.
If you don't like 3-hour movies,
you're only one step removed from committing yourself wholly to this endeavor. So please change yourself in the way the movie will change you if you sit through and really absorb it.
Watch like 2 sci-fi B movies about space, and then watch this, and then watch 2 sci-fi B movies, and watch Solaris. Just use it as sort of like a palate cleanser, a change of pace, because everybody was making movies about space, and this is going to be one, or aliens. This is one you're not going to expect. And watch it at night.
Watch it right when you know you need to sleep.
Yeah, watch it like again, like 3 hours before you absolutely have to fall asleep. So that when you fall asleep, you'll dream about it, but also you'll wake up and you'll be like, did I actually watch 3 hours of a Tarkovsky movie last night?
And it'll just be sitting in the back of your brain.
And it'll be sitting in the back of your mind, and it'll be all like a blur, because just like our protagonist, you won't be sure about what you actually saw and when you saw it.
Put on a sick coat, walk through a damp, boggy place, industrial wasteland, think about life, smuggle drinks into places they shouldn't be. Don't do that. Not legal advice. Not binding legal advice.
Do not commit
crimes. Be
Tarkovsky-pilled.
Do not get cancer from toxic chemicals.
That's
I think that's a universal
the sagest
piece of
life advice we've ever given anyone on this show. Do not get cancer from toxic chemicals. Please do not get cancer, especially not from toxic chemicals.
And if you can't do that, at least don't do it at an abandoned power plant in Estonia.
Yeah, if you live near an abandoned power plant, maybe just don't. I highly recommend relocating. If any of my listeners live near an abandoned power plant, maybe just don't, so that if it potentially has toxic chemicals in it, you will not be affected.
And side note, just don't mess with power plants.
There's like some people who are listening to this who are like halfway through like a shot-for-shot remake of Stalker, and like, aw, we want to.
Fantastic. Well, I don't know, Nicholas, you got anything you want to plug?
Got anything going on?
Yeah, thanks for listening. Still writing my newsletter. Let's do the panic again. Hopefully by the time this is out, more stuff should be out on my end. Happy just to be on the show. I love Fair to Launch. And, if you're listening to this right now, you already are a patron. So don't listen to me when I say subscribe to the Patreon, because you already are.
It's always a good time when you're here, Nicholas.
Thank you, guys.
Although I'm concerned that we've hit the two big Tarkovsky films. I don't know if we're gonna have any more sci-fi Tarkovsky to go into, because those are the only two names that I knew.
Yeah, so I don't know. Have me on for the cheapest B movie possible. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Quinn will find it.
Good.
I'm now wondering, like, what is quintessentially like the cheapest, lamest, shittiest sci-fi B movie ever? Like, what is the metric by which we can determine that? That's the one we have to watch.
We're going to have to triangulate this. We're going to have to like Torment Nexus the shit out of this.
Quinn comes back and we just make Quinn watch it.
Are there not enough Torment Nexi on this earth? Like,
yeah, but this is an entertaining one.
Just, I think that we're not taking the parable to heart, like the don't build the Torment Nexus.
But this Torment Nexus is like, it's pretty benign. It's just,
that's Chris, that's what they always say, but this Torment Nexus will be different.
How's it gonna metastasize from videos to what?
You don't ask enough of the right questions, I fear.
Understandable.
Listener, thank you for being here. Nicholas, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for being here, guys. Listener, goodbye.
Adios.
Bye.
Thank you to everyone who have signed up to support the show. And a big shout out to all of our top tier patrons. Our cyborg cats are August Sun, Boss, Charlie, David R, Ellie M, Jorg 2, the Heinlein that troopers your starship instantly, June, Luke Nukem, Lupe G, Matt, Mobius Striptease, Nerd Beast, Noah, Oil Drum, Pat, Spectre Cohen, Tactical Sport, Tortilla Baron, and Vivek D. Our space dogs are A Union Thug, At Guy is Best Guy, Adam H, Angry Old Man Yada Yada, Anthony C, Otto Fox, Band User, Baron M, Ben L, Boomzilla, Cantaloupe Was Taken, Chainsaw Snuggling, Charles G, Cole C, Captain Lag, Daddy Bongo, Dan A, Devil Time, Ank, Aaron, Eric M, Fractal Moonlight, Furious Luddite, I Hope You Have a Good Day, Emmanuel L, JM M, James A, James C, Jamie K, John C, John Tastic 20x6, Kara Chameleon, Kate D, Corbin the Dog, Korolev's Condiments, Lane of the Wired, Lens Wipe, M, McLean C, Mar, Michael G, Nick S, Norman W, Oliver, Panda, Randall, Sam A, Sean F, Sean H, Central Kazoo, Sean P, Sophie L, Sparks, Spirit of Thunder, That Big Sexy, The Best Sean, Tom M, Tim P, Trash Do, Trevor M, Barash T, Frisk, Will W, Wingsmith, Zaff, Zaxum, and Zim. Thank you for listening to another episode of Failure to Launch. If you want to follow us, we are Failure to Launch on Blue Sky and FT Launch Pod on Instagram. We also post our episodes with visual aids at Failure to Launch Podcast on YouTube. FTL intro and outro themes were provided by DJ Danner.